Well, last week on this show, we broke the story of how an upstate county leader was mounting a one-man protest against the Patterson administration by refusing to send in his weekly Medicaid payments until he received overdue reimbursements that dated back 4 months. Oneida County Executive Anthony Picente told us his county is owed millions of dollars in promised payments, and Governor Patterson is withholding this money in order to try to prevent the state from going broke. Now, today, Picente met with the governor's budget director, Bob Magna, to talk about when he might get his money and what will happen if he continues to hold out. And County Executive Picente joins us in the studio today to talk more about this. He is joined by Stephen Acquario from the New York State Association of Counties, who has been in constant contact with the governor's office lobbying for these payments. I guess that you're still with us, so they didn't drag you off in handcuffs.
No, they didn't.
But you haven't agreed to pay the money.
No, not at this time. I mean, we're still, as we sit here, as I did last week, we're still owed millions of dollars. The budget director was committed to the fact that the state would make all of the counties that are owed money over the next 4 weeks or by the end of August to be made whole, as he put it, to the point of the millions of dollars that were owed. But in the meantime, I still have a cash flow problem. I mean, that's the 4 or 5 weeks away. Still doesn't alleviate the problem immediately, and we'll have to see how those receipts start coming in, or when they come in, or if they're all going to come in one lump sum. We really didn't get a clear answer on that. But in the meantime, I still have to deliver services. I still have to keep cash running through the county, and in order to do so, I'll continue to hold my Medicaid payment for
You've
the
actually
next couple weeks.
What's the response has been quite interesting. I mean, the Wall Street Journal has picked up your story, and according to a report by the Journal, that Bob Magna says he's actually going to make you guys whole. He said it before. He said it on this show. You were here.
That's right.
And do we believe him?
Well, today we brought that message to him again, and we have a live example in Oneida County of what that means to a particular community. I think we do believe him. I think that the state is trying to pay for what it owes, pay its bills. It's been going through a recession. It's been going through a budget deficit, but so too are local governments. And when the state doesn't pay its bills, local property taxpayers pay those bills for them, and they pay twice. Once, in the first instance, to pay the state's bill, and two, when the state doesn't reimburse, it's forced to borrow and pay interest on those bills.
Well, unless you hold your money back, like like you did.
Well, yeah, like we did, and that's really on a weekly basis. But as Steve said, in order to borrow, I would have to borrow much more than the weekly Medicaid payment is,
right,
to make us whole in terms of the $34 million that go back really to January 1st, and some that even go prior to that in terms of payments owed by the state.
What has the response been from your former county or your fellow rather county executives? I mean, are people cheering you, and did they say, hey, why didn't we think of this, and maybe we should get on board?
Well, I mean, one of the things was, and I mentioned that to Bob, I didn't encourage anybody to do it or follow along. I wasn't looking for anybody to do that. I had to do what I felt was important for my county.
No million county executive march?
No, I mean, but I have heard from many, and Steve has heard from others as well. I mean, I've heard way to go. I mean, great move. Let's see what happens. But I don't think there's any massive revolt at this point, but each county has to decide individually what they need to do to sustain themselves in this difficult time. And many counties are owed many more millions than Oneida County are, depending on their size, and some even smaller counties, it's a greater burden to have $5 or $8 or $10 million than it is for us to have the $30 billion.
Now, I actually thought that there was going to be a organized protest between county leaders. Was there not to be a meeting and that people were going to have this discussion? Am I not right about that?
No, that's right. The meeting was supposed to take place today.
Oh, so I see.
After conversations with the budget director yesterday, and assurances provided and a time frame and a window of those payments, the county leaders have stood down for the time being to verify and validate these statements. And exactly what does that mean? So for now, There is no statewide meeting going to take place, but there's an ongoing effort here and a lot of pressure to really get to the root cause of why we're sitting here today. Why did we come here today? Why are county executives upset about paying state bills? And it's about property taxes. It's about controlling property taxes. A lot of statewide officials, Governor Patterson, Attorney General Cuomo, state legislators are talking about capping property taxes. It's all relevant, and it all fits into this subject we're talking about.
We want to get to the property taxes because there's actually developments on this particular front today. But before we get there, what does it say about state government and an administration that it takes, and we talked about this the last time you and I spoke, that it takes somebody like Tony to say, I'm just going to take a stand right here, and then you have to threaten to have a statewide protest where perhaps everybody would be held, because it's one thing for you to hold back $853,000 a week. It's around that, right? Just under $1 million. And then, but it's another for Nassau County or Suffolk County or any of these really large counties.
Or Onondaga or any of them.
But what does that say about our state system, that you have to actually threaten and withhold to get something done? I mean, miraculously, you have a meeting with the budget director. I know you've been in contact with him. You've been on the show. But what does that say about the way that things are working? It's broken. It's got to be broken.
Well, the act by Oneida County Executive Picente was extraordinary. I mean, this is the year of extraordinary things happening in Albany, and there's been a number of those actions by the governor, by the state legislature, a number of precedential things that have happened, including this action by Oneida County. It is broken. The system is broken, and through this process, hopefully, some transparency can come about just how are these programs funded, who's providing the services, and what's the most efficient way for the taxpayer for these programs to be provided.
Okay, now let's talk about the property tax cap. Today we have Andrew Cuomo, the Democratic designee for governor, also Independence Party, but he's a Democrat, appearing with Ed Mangano, a colleague of yours, fellow Republican, in Nassau County to call for a property tax cap. There are so many things to say about that, but from a policy standpoint, I would assume you are not happy with this.
Well, no, on the contrary. We are supportive of this issue of controlling property taxes, and we've talked about this now for decades, about why are property taxes at the local government level going up. It's not on our own volition. It's because of Albany's dysfunction. It is because of these state-mandated services and how they're delivered and how they're financed that's caused county property taxes to go up.
Right, but where will the money come from? Right, that's what you mean.
In these proposals is how will the counties make up the loss of revenues necessary to fund state services locally.
And what about you? Would you stand if Andrew